Gary, looking back at Tuesday, obviously disappointed to see the late goal, but before the game, surely you would absolutely love to take a point away from Leicester, wouldn't you?
Of course we would have done the same against Wigan, and maybe the same against Bolton, because of they were on form at the time, and I keep saying that. And I've got to take always the positives. Of course I'm as upset and disappointed as the players would be when you're in a winning situation, as the directors would be, as the supporters would be, as my staff is. But I've got to be the first one to get that feeling out of my head and out of my body, and put the positives to the boys, because we played some really good football over the last 3 or 4 games. Probably the second half at Bolton was our worst performance, although the first half was probably our best all season. So I, as the manager, know that I'm going into every game with my group of players knowing that we're going to give it a go. And the last time we played 3 big teams, as I said earlier, we played Forest, Derby and Southampton, and then we went on a good run. This time we played Wigan, Bolton and Leicester, and hopefully we can learn from that and go on another decent run. And you know, who knows, because they're all good teams, we're all fighting for survival. But I'm going into these battles with full confidence in my group at the moment. We've got no shrinking violets. Every one of them's putting in an effort. So I'm going to war with a group of people that I trust, and that's all you can ask for.
Away from the fact that it's a great result to get a draw away at Leicester for any team in the Championship, to concede a goal that late, how difficult is it to lift the players afterwards, or is it simply the fact that you say, look boys, we would have taken a point before?
Yeah, you do, but there was nothing else you could say other than unlucky lads, but you've absolutely performed an unbelievable match there. You know, they played our tactics to the letter. Schmeichel, although we didn't know was going to come up for the last couple of minutes and stay up, tactically, Schmeichel said in the newspaper himself, he said that Yeovil came here, spoilt our game, didn't let us play our game, they played their game, and he gave us credit, and that means a lot to us. And when I speak to the football connoisseurs around the game, and some of them were at the game, and they believe we played a really good game against the top of the league team. So that gives you that sort of confidence and that warm feeling that A, we're doing okay, and B, our reputation is being enhanced.
Moving towards Saturday now, huge game against Barnsley in terms of the fact that they're down the bottom with you, and the fact that you're now playing catch up with a few teams around you. In your mind now, how big a game and how big a 90 minutes is the match against Barnsley? Well,
they're all massive now coming up, and they have been for a little while, because we had to get ourselves, I think we were 7 or 8 points away from Millwall at one time that we were chasing, but we got ourselves back in the race, as we say, and now we're in it, and we're right in it, and we've got to believe that we can be above 3 other teams. Now we've got 8 games to do it, and the quicker you do it, the better, of course. So Barnsley gives us that first opportunity, because Charlton have got to go away to Derby, and although none of the results are foregone conclusions, what we do know is that we're probably favourites to win our game, and Derby are probably favourites to win theirs. So that brings it even a little bit closer. So we'll have to wait and see, and we've got to do everything we can to win the next one, and then plan for the next one and do what we're doing. We're relentless in our preparation at the moment, and I promise everybody no stone's being unturned, and the players are putting in 100% effort.
Have you had a chance to look at Barnsley at all? What do you make of them as a unit? Because they're kind of similar to you guys. They do play good football, but they're not necessarily good in the results their performances deserve.
No, every team in the Championship has got a good game, and they've all got a game that's inconsistent. And obviously the teams at the bottom, for whatever reason, are the more inconsistent teams. But you always got to be aware that if the opposition's best team turn up, as in the way they're playing and their confidence, etc., and they must be coming here confident from beating Reading 3-1 away. We know how difficult a game that would have been. So it's everything to play for. But the good thing is it keeps you on your toes. It means even Leicester wouldn't have expected to have celebrated like they did in their technical area after only drawing with Yeovil at home. So we knew how much that meant to them, so that's how far we've come. So we've got to go into all these games knowing that they're all big big games now, and if we come out of each of them unscathed, then we'll get out of trouble.
How's the squad looking ahead of the game? Any injuries?
No, not too bad. We've got a few little knocks that you have to give a couple of days to, but no, generally our big hitters are going to be out there hitting big again.
And I have to ask, because today is the final day of the loan transfer window. Caught you on the phone just before chatting to somebody potentially about a transfer, I'm not sure. Is anything going to be in the pipeline?
Yeah, my wife now knows what I want for dinner tonight.
That's one transfer sorted.
That was that phone call. It's a bit late now to bring in somebody. There's been a couple of talks, as it were, over the last few days. A couple of lads that we've asked about, and the team, the manager was debating whether he was going to let him go, or two managers let them both go. But it looks like they're probably going to keep him now unless I get a late call. The good thing is I'm happy to go into battle now the rest of this season with the group we got, because they are in battle mode. They are in that game mode. They've been here all season. They want to be part of this club staying in the Championship. It's going to be very hard to bring in somebody now that's going to go in above them.
My last one to you, Gary. Realistically, in terms of staying up, out the last 8 games, have you got to pick up 4 or 5 wins? Have you set yourself a target?
No, our target is what it's always been. We've got to win one more game than everybody else. And of course the 6 point has come when you've got to beat Charlton, you've got to beat Barnsley to try and keep them below you. But
and Blackpool as well are coming up.
Of course, Blackpool have come into it, and that's they're our next 3 games. So they're all massive. But it's going to go to the wire. It's going to go to the end of the season because the nature of the league, and it doesn't matter how many points you get. You just got to make sure three people are below you. So the more points, the more below you.
Perfect.
You mentioned last Saturday about Calvin Brooks coming to training. Do you? All right, saying he's going to be on the verge of a move, well not a move, but going to be sent to Wincanton for some game time experience.
We just, he came and helped us out for a game and played well, and we thought he looked a decent young prospect. We had a few injuries and we wanted to do a few 11v11, so we thought, he was only over the road, he was out of contract, being released at I think mutually at Dorchester. So Chris told us about him, and so we had a look, was impressed, and we thought, well, he's only up the road, so we'll get him in, and he can be a number, but at the same time we thought he had that little bit of potential that we could nurture a little bit, because he's he's a hard worker, he's a good athlete, and actually he's a good footballer. But he obviously can't play for us because it was outside of the windows when he was released, so that was too late for him. But he could play for a non-league team like Wincanton, and they asked us about him, and we said, yeah, it'd be a good idea. Him train all week and have a game at the end of it rather than no game at the end of it. And I think he played his debut the other day and they won 4-2, and they were very pleased with him. So he's still a young lad. He hasn't had the upbringing that a lot of young lads have at professional football clubs, and I think he might be a late developer, but meanwhile we're helping him and he's helping us.
Brilliant, thank you.
No problem.
How are the nerves holding up? Like after the last 3 games where it's been a bit of a roller coaster?
Well, they're holding up because I'm sitting here now. Otherwise I'd either be 6 foot under or in hospital somewhere. But we're, at the moment you're having to compete in the technical areas as well. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of tactics going on. There's a lot of one-upmanship going on. There's a lot of nudge, nudge, wink, wink to the fourth officials. So you've got to be aware that you don't get caught out by the opposition telling him something that you don't want him, all that sort of stuff. And I've got a couple of Rottweilers as well in the technical area, in Terry and Darren, and they sort of keep an eye on that as well. And that's what you have to do. You know, it's so you're in the zone and you're in what we call game mode, and your players are, you are. Everything you do now has got to be right, because you know, one little mistake or one player saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, one member of staff doing the wrong thing, like the manager saying something that upsets somebody, or you know, it can muck you up, that's for sure. So you know, you've got to be ultra professional now and make sure that no one gets one on you, because you're aware of it, and you've got to try and be clever in a professional way.
Yeah.
So holding up, yes, I think so.
Is it a case of, like, once the game's on, that's all you're focused on, whereas beforehand you might get, sure you get a bit nervous?
No, listen, we all get nervous, because you know, what is nerves? Nerves is, you wouldn't be human if you didn't get nervous about things. It's the anticipation sometimes, isn't it? But as I said before, when you feel that you've done all that you can in preparation, and that you haven't cheated in any way by giving them extra time off, or not quite getting into somebody's head because you don't want to upset him or something, you know, like we've got to do the right things, what we feel now going into every game. And if you've done everything and you feel you've prepared right on the training ground, in the classroom, then you know you're putting them out there ready, and then that's all you can do other than get nervous and help them, you know, through the game, if you like. And you know what, this is where the crowd come in. You know, this is where, if you've got that 8,000 people like we did, 9,000 people against Sheffield United in the playoffs, there was no way we going to lose that game. I didn't have to say anything. The lads could hear the noise outside. They could feel the atmosphere, you know, and the environment, and it was going to be a happy, comfortable one. We were 1-0 down, and they came out, and I thought, listen, this is ours today. And sometimes you can really get that feeling, because the opposition on the reverse of that get the opposite feeling when they're coming into a cauldron of noise for the home team, and that's what we've got to try and get. And you know, if you can get that most weeks, and the supporters that are here for us do well for us, but you need a full stadium, you need no empty seats, you need no empty standing areas, you know, and then everybody creates that winning atmosphere. That's what we need.
So is this where the sports psychology side of the game comes into it?
Of course it does, because you know, you've got people that you can hear positively supporting you. You want to give them everything, you know, and it is. Footballers are in the game because of they enjoy that positive support. They enjoy scoring and everybody loving them. They enjoy making that through ball or that dribble. That's why they're in it. They, you know, earlier on in their lives, it's just their mum and dad saying well done, and then all of a sudden it comes to a full stadium who love them, sing their name and everything. You know what I mean? That's a big thing, a massive thing, and that's what makes players perform. And but on the reverse of that, if you have, for whatever reason, and some clubs have got this, a negative support, i.e. people are there supporting, but they're waiting for the first thing to go wrong so that they can have a bit of a go. Players know that as well, and they get very nervous and hide a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas they don't hide when there's that positive atmosphere.
Presumably the older players in the squad will have to take on extra responsibility now just to keep the
the leaders. You know, you need leaders at certain points. You know, a young lad makes a mistake, or you know, he might drop his head. Then the leaders need to go, oi, don't worry about that. Wait for the next one, and you know what I mean. So you need leaders out there, because again, if there's a big noisy atmosphere, I can't get to them right over the far side. You know what I mean? So somebody needs to just have a quiet word like in their ear, as they say.
Exactly. And the next 3 games, pivotal, do you think, to the?
Of course, they're pivotal, because after that there'll only be 5 games left, and you know, you've got to be picking points up in the next 3 games. Because of the teams that we're playing. They're our 3 near enough closest rivals. So, of course they're big games. They're that big that, as I'm saying, I'm hoping that the town realises how big certainly the next home game is. And that would be a great start if we can get a result against Barnsley going into the 2 away games.